Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Let's look into the first question. Consider the following statements about Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. It has been established under the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006 as a statutory body. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare is the administrative ministry for the implementation of FSSAI. Which of the above statements is or correct? The answer to this is both. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the mention of FSSAI. When we look into the first statement, yes, the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India is a statutory body which comes under the Food Safety and Standards Act of 2006. We have discussed in the past as well. This can also be put in the form of extra constitutional body. Is FSSAI mentioned in the constitution? No. Since it is not mentioned, it is an extra constitutional body which was enacted by the Parliament of India under a law. So under this particular act, we have one of the bodies called as the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. Also remember, this comes under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and it is the one which is implementing this particular program. Now when we look into this article, the article says plan to test Anganwadi food by FSAI. We have one of the missions called as the Mission Poshan Abhiyan. What is it? This is the flagship program of the government of India. What does it want to do? It want to improvise on the nutritional status when it comes to the children, pregnant women as well as the lactating mothers. When you look at this particular mission, it was updated or it was enhanced into what is called as Mission Poshan 2.0 in the budget of 2021 and 2022. Basically, when you look at this particular mission, it wants to reduce the stunting, undernutrition, anemia when it comes to young children, women and adolescent girls, and also reduce the low birth to weight ratio. In order to make sure that this particular program is achieved, what they have to supply is the food and the nutritional inputs. This food and nutritional inputs will be provided with what is called as the packet food. So this packet food, whether it is meeting the quality, will have to be tested. And who is going to test that? It will be tested by the FSSAI labs. There are certain labs which are certified by this particular authority. That is what is called as the NABL laboratories. So these laboratories will be testing whether the food packets given to the children, given to the women or to the lactating mothers, is it meeting the quality as prescribed by the government of India. So what is being tested here? Under the Mission Poshan 2.0, what we have is the food packets given to the children. Is it meeting the quality or not, will be tested by these laboratories. When we look into the implementation of this particular program, what we have is the Ministry of Women and Child Development, which happens to be the nodal ministry for implementing Mission Poshan Abhiyan. This also has a tie-up with the Panchayati Raj. So the Panchayati Raj also has institutions which is at the grassroots level. So the FSAI will tie up with these institutions of the Panchayati Raj so that they are able to train all these functionaries to ensure that there is quality of the food package or the nutritional status is met, is what this article all about. Now let's look into the next practice question. With reference to Legislative Council, which of the following statements is or correct? The maximum strength of the council is fixed at 1/3 of the total strength of the assembly. The tenure of the members of the council is 5 years. Which of the statements are correct? Since it is asking for the correct statement, the answer to this is one only. Why? That is because when you look into the second option, it is not 5 years but instead it is 6 years. Now let's understand what is this all about. When we look into the Indian system, what we have is a system of bicameralism. What is this bicameralism? When we speak about bicameralism, as the very name denotes, there are two houses. One in the parliamentary system at the central level, we have the Lok Sabha and we also have the Rajya Sabha. And at the state level, if the states have given consent to it, if the states have that particular process, they have two houses. One is called as the assembly, the other is what is called as council. So what are we discussing here? We are discussing about the Legislative Council. So when it comes to the Legislative Council, the tenure of the members of the council is not 5 years but instead it is 6 years. So when we speak about 6 years, about 1/3 of the members of the Legislative Council retire every 2 years. Now let's look into the first option. The first option says the maximum strength of the council is fixed at 1/3 of the total strength of the assembly. What do we mean by it? Let's say for example, there is one of the state, the legislative assembly has about, let's say hypothetical numbers, about 150. So if we are considering 150, the seats that are prescribed in that particular state for the legislative assembly, what is 1/3 of 150? It is about 50. So there will be 50 seats for the legislative council. Or if we are taking 120 seats in the legislative assembly, what will be the number of seats in the legislative council? It will be 40. So 1/3 of the total strength of the assembly will be the maximum seats that are present in the legislative council. So the first option here is correct. So the answer to this is 1 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given in this article. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following is or impact of the non-performing assets? Banks won't have sufficient funds for other developmental projects which will impact the economy. To maintain a profit margin, banks will be forced to increase interest rates. Due to the curb in the further investments, it may lead to the rise of unemployment. Which of the statements are the impact of the non-performing assets? The answer to this is 1, 2 and 3. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given in this article. What exactly is this non-performing asset? Let's say for example there is a banking system. Let's say for example the State Bank of India. What is an asset for a particular bank? It is the loans. Why? Whenever they give loans, they also charge interest. This happens to be an asset for a particular banking system. When you consider an individual or an organization, what does a bank do? Let's say we have a bank. It gives a particular loan to whom? To the borrower. So the borrower will have to pay back the money to the bank that he has taken. Let's say the bank has given 10 crores. This amount is given to an individual or to a particular organization. So it has to pay back to this particular bank. When it is paid on a standard terms and conditions as prescribed by that banking system, that is what is called as the standard asset. So what is a standard asset? A loan where the borrower is able to make regular payments on a prescribed timeline. That is what is called a standard asset. So the money is coming back to the banking system as per the prescribed guidelines. Then we have something called as the non-performing asset. What is this non-performing asset? So the asset that was supposed to be coming back to the banking is not performing, which means to say the loans and the advances, that which is given by the banking system to the individual or to an organization, is not working effectively, where the borrower has stopped making the payments, either it is the interest or the principal repayments, for a period of about 90 days. That is what is called as the non-performing assets. So when it comes to the non-performing assets, you can categorize them into 3 different types. What are these? One is a substandard asset. These are the assets which have remained NPA for a period of less than or equal to 12 months. Doubtful assets, if the asset is in the substandard category for a period of 12 months. Then we have loss assets. These assets are of little value. It can no longer continue as a bankable asset. There could be some recovery value. So this is how the categorization is done. So when it comes to the non-performing assets, what we have to remember is that when there is increase of the non-performing assets, banks in that particular place or in that particular region will have to make higher provisions for the losses. Since they are not paying back the money, it means banks will have to put in more money to recover the losses, and at the same time they have to set aside funds for the losses that they have taken. Now when we look into the article, it says that NPAs are likely to rise in the first half of 2021, says FICCI IBA. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following statements is or correct? A nominated member of a house becomes disqualified for being a member of the house if he joins any political party after the expiry of 3 months from the date on which he takes a seat in the house. Second option, any question regarding disqualification arising out of defection is to be decided by the presiding officer of the house. The decision of the presiding officer is final and cannot be questioned in any court. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is none. Why? That is because when you look into the first option, it says 3 months. This is wrong. That is because the actual answer is about 6 months. So if there is a particular person who has been nominated, then that particular person may join any political party within 6 months. In case he joins a political party after 6 months, it means that he'll be disqualified under the anti-defection law. When we look into the second option, it says the presiding officer, whatever he says is final. This was the original position, but the Supreme Court in one of the landmark judgments called as the Quixote Holohan case has clearly said the presiding officer, when he is adjudicating this particular process, he is acting as a tribunal. So he gives his particular verdict, he gives his particular decision. So this can be checked in the court of law, and ultimately the views of the court will come into picture. Since judicial review is part of the basic structure, since the court can also review the orders or the judgments passed by the tribunal, since the presiding officer is acting as a tribunal, since judicial review is part of the basic structure, the Supreme Court has clearly said that the presiding officer's viewpoint or the order is not final. The Supreme Court can inquire about it. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given in the Indian Express article. Now let's look into the previous year question. The annual range of temperature in the interior of the continent is high as compared to coastal areas. What are the reason or the reasons? Thermal difference between land and water, variation in altitude between continents and oceans, presence of strong winds in the interior, heavy rains in the interior as compared to coast. Select the correct answer using the codes given below. 1 only, 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1, 2, 3 and 4. The answer to this is 1 only. Why? Let's try and understand. When we look into the first option, it says thermal difference between the land and water. Yes, this is clearly the one. When it comes to the heating, it is the land which heats at a very faster pace, and it is the water where the heating takes in comparison at a slower pace. So the first option is right. So when you look into the second option, it is not the right option. Why? Because there is no link between the altitude, continents and the ocean. So 2 is clearly not an option at all, and there is no link to the question. So when we eliminate 2, what we have is only 1. So the answer to this is 1 only. This happens to be a previous year question from the year 2013. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day is soil health card scheme. What is this soil health card scheme? Basically, this is a printed report that a farmer will be handed over for each of his holdings. It is a field specific detailed report of soil fertility status and another important soil parameters that affect the crop productivity. What exactly happens? Let's say there is a piece of land. This piece of land is where the plants will be grown, the crops will be grown. So this soil fertility, whether it is fertile or not, what is the amount of fertilizers that has to be used in this particular piece of plot, will be given under the soil health card scheme. It will contain the status of the soil with respect to 12 parameters, namely NPK, which happen to be the macronutrients. Then we have the secondary nutrients, followed by the physical parameters as well. Based on this, the soil health card scheme will indicate the fertilizer recommendation and soil amendment required for the farm, which means to say the soil fertility will be tested on the basis of this particular report. What amount of fertilizers will have to be added to that particular soil will be given under this particular report. It does not provide any farm insurance. The central government provides assistance to the state governments for setting up soil testing laboratories for issuing soil health cards to the farmers. State governments have adopted innovative practices like involvement of agricultural students, NGOs and private sector in soil testing, determining average soil health of villagers to issue soil health cards. So when we look into this particular program, what basically it provides is the nutritional input that has to be provided to the soil, recommendations on dosage of what nutrients have to be added, and this will help in saving the usage of the fertilizers by the farmers as well. So this is ultimately helping in increasing the fertility of the soil. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this PIB article. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.